2 episodes in and the night air between them had changed. What started as harmless laughter over a TV show became something else, something alive. Darian turned slightly, his gaze lingering on Nora instead of the screen. He reached for her hand, testing, gentle. She looked down, pulse fluttering. "Nora," he murmured, voice low and deliberate. "Can I kiss you?" Logic wanted to answer, "We're just friends," but words never came. His lips met hers instead, soft at first, then deeper, more certain. The world outside disappeared. When he finally pulled away, breath uneven, her eyes were still closed, lips tingling. "So," he whispered with a grin, "I just stole your first kiss." She blinked in surprise. "You did?" He brushed a curl from her face. "I should have asked, but I couldn't wait." That night changed everything. Nora went to bed replaying every second. She had known Darian for months through the cafe, but something about that moment felt permanent. Morning arrived with the soft nudge of small hands. "Mama, wake up." 7-year-old Amira giggled, her breath sweet as honey. "We'll be late for the park." Nora smiled sleepily, brushing her daughter's cheek. Their one-bedroom flat in Victoria Island glowed faintly with sunrise. "Go get dressed, baby," she said. In the bathroom mirror, a tired 24-year-old woman stared back, tired eyes, soft smile, heart still strong. Years ago, her sister Celine had shown up at her door with a baby in a faded blue blanket and no intention of staying. "I'm not ready to be a mother," Celine had said, leaving the birth certificate already bearing Nora's name. Medical school ended that day. Nora became Amira's mother in every way that mattered. Across town, 28-year-old Darian Rail stood in his glass-walled office, Lagos glittering below. Born into wealth but restless in success, he had turned his father's forgotten real estate arm into a thriving digital empire. Yet today, he felt nothing but hollow. His assistants quit as fast as they came, 3 in 1 month, each more interested in his fortune than his humanity. For the first time, he left his high-rise to find coffee himself. Downstairs, Nora tied her apron and tried to ignore the ache in her legs from the park. When the tall man in a fitted suit entered, the cafe seemed to still. "Good morning, sir," she said. "What'll it be?" "Black coffee," he replied. Their eyes met only for a second, but Darian felt the ground tilt. She wasn't dressed up, she wasn't trying. Yet her quiet beauty struck harder than any runway models. When she turned away, he realized he was still staring. Minutes later, the first sip froze him. Perfect. Strong, grounded, real. "Now this," he murmured under his breath. "This is what I've been missing." That evening, Nora left the cafe carrying a small pink cake box, Amira's birthday treat. A sleek black Mercedes slowed beside her. The window lowered, revealing Darian's familiar face. "Get in," he said softly. She hesitated until she noticed a group of drunken men nearby. Swallowing her pride, she entered. When he asked about the box, she smiled faintly. "It's my daughter's birthday tomorrow." His brow lifted. "You're a mother." She laughed lightly. "Doesn't show." "Oh, it shows," he said gently. "Strength like yours always does." By the time he dropped her off, something unspoken had settled between them. Curiosity, respect, and maybe the start of something neither dared name. The next morning dawned warm and bright, the kind of Lagos sunlight that melted into the sea. Nora was up early, blowing balloons and stirring a pot of jollof rice. Amira's 7th birthday was today, and though there were no grand parties or expensive gifts, Nora wanted joy to fill their small apartment. She had saved for weeks to buy the vanilla cake and ribbons, determined to give her daughter a memory that would outshine their poverty. By the time her best friend Tasha arrived with her niece Zara, the home sparkled with color. "Happy birthday to our little queen." Tasha sang, holding Amira close. Nora smiled, brushing flour from her hands. "Listen," she whispered, pulling Tasha aside. "Don't panic, but Darian's coming." Tasha's eyes widened. "As in the Darian? Tall, fine, billionaire coffee man Darian?" Nora's cheeks warmed. "He asked, and I couldn't say no." Before Tasha could squeal, a knock echoed through the room. Darian stood at the door, dressed in a black shirt and grey slacks, holding 2 boxes. "For the birthday girl," he said, offering the bigger one to Amira. "And for you." He handed Nora the smaller package. Mothers rarely get anything. Nora froze, touched in a way words couldn't express. The celebration that followed was small but golden. Music from Tasha's phone, laughter filling the air, and Amira dancing barefoot with her new dollhouse. Darian stayed, quietly helping serve food, talking with Mrs. Odu the neighbor, and smiling like he'd belonged there forever. As evening approached and Amira dozed on the couch, Nora turned to him. "Thank you," she said softly. He shrugged lightly. "You made it easy. She's incredible, just like her mother." She laughed, embarrassed. "I'm just doing my best." His tone shifted, curious and gentle. "So, where's your husband?" That made her laugh harder. "No husband, no boyfriend. Never had time for one." He raised an eyebrow. "Never. Never." For a moment, he only looked at her, really looked. "You deserve more, Nora," he said quietly before standing. Then, without warning, he leaned down and pressed a soft kiss to her cheek. "Good night." And he was gone. The next morning, chaos greeted Nora before dawn. Amira had developed a fever, and Nora spent the early hours sponging her down and praying it wasn't malaria. By the time she left for work, she was already late. Mr. Bacco, her irritable boss at the cafe, wasted no time shouting, "Why do I still keep you, eh? From today, you deliver coffee every morning to the rail office across the street, 9 a.m. sharp." "Why me?" she dared to ask. "Because he asked for you," Mr. Bacco snapped, waving her off. Heart thudding, Nora carried the flask across to the towering glass building. Inside, the receptionist barely looked up. She took the elevator to the top floor and raised her hand to knock, when a sharp female voice cut through the air. "What do you think you're doing?" The assistant glared. "You don't call him by his first name, and you don't touch that door looking like—" She didn't finish. Because Darian appeared behind her, cold fury in his eyes. "Pack your things," he said icily. "You're done here." The woman stammered, but he was unmoved. "You don't talk to her like that." When the security guards escorted the assistant out, Darian turned back to Nora. His tone softened instantly. "Come in." She followed, still trembling. He poured her a glass of water and smiled faintly. "Sorry about that. Some people confuse arrogance with professionalism." For the next 20 minutes, they talked. Nothing serious, just coffee, Lagos traffic, and little bits of life. Yet when she left, something in her had shifted. She wasn't just a barista delivering caffeine anymore. She was someone Darian Rail wanted to see again. 2 weeks passed, and the rhythm of Nora's life subtly changed. Each morning, she carried a cup of black coffee across the road to Darian's sleek office tower. What began as a simple delivery became a ritual. Sometimes she stayed a few minutes longer. Sometimes he'd walk her back to the cafe. Gossip started, but neither cared. The connection had grown natural, effortless, like breathing. Every evening, Darian was there waiting in his black Mercedes to drive her home. He always greeted Mrs. Odu, always brought something small for Amira, a coloring book, a new lunchbox, a bar of chocolate. Slowly, he was becoming part of their world. Friday arrived, humid and restless. Nora was exhausted from the week but still smiling when she saw his car pull up. "Rough day?" Darian asked, opening the door for her. "You have no idea," she said with a chuckle. When they reached her apartment, he followed her inside instead of saying good night. "Someone's been waiting for you," she teased. Amira peeked out from the hallway, squealing, "Uncle Darian." She ran into his arms, and he handed her a soft teddy bear wrapped with a red bow. "Every princess deserves a guardian," he said. "Read to me, please," Amira begged, tugging his hand. He looked at Nora for permission. She nodded, smiling. A few minutes later, she peeked into Amira's room and saw him sitting on her tiny bed, reading softly. The child's head rested on his shoulder, her teddy clutched tight. When the story ended, Amira was asleep. Darian tucked her in gently and whispered, "I could get used to this." Back in the living room, Nora sat curled up on the couch, half watching Game of Thrones. The glow of the TV painted her skin gold. Darian joined her silently, their shoulders brushing. For a long time, neither spoke. They simply existed in the quiet comfort of each other's company. Then, something shifted. Darian turned toward her, eyes lingering. Slowly, he reached for her hand. "Nora," he murmured, "can I kiss you?" Her breath caught. Logic screamed don't, but her heart betrayed her. He leaned in, lips finding hers. The kiss began soft, then deepened, hungry, patient, inevitable. When they broke apart, the air between them trembled. "You just stole my first kiss," she whispered, half dazed. He chuckled, brushing her hair from her face. "Worth every second." "Nora, I need you to know this," he continued, his voice low, earnest. I've been drawn to you since the day I saw you. You're beautiful, yes, but it's your calm, your strength that undid me. I've been pretending to be your friend when all I wanted was more. You and Amira, you're a package deal. And I want all of it. Her heart pounded. Are you asking me out? He smiled softly. I'm asking to make you the happiest woman alive. Go on a date with me, Nora. Her voice trembled. Yes. He kissed her again, slower this time, a promise in motion. When he finally pulled back, he grinned, gave her cheek a playful squeeze, and said, Good night, Nora. She sat frozen long after he left, fingertips touching her lips, heartbeat wild. The world had shifted again. The next day at the park, Darian chased Amira around the grass, her laughter ringing through the morning air. Nora watched from under a mango tree, sunlight dancing on her face. She couldn't remember the last time she'd felt so light. Darian lifted Amira high, spinning her until she squealed. When he set her down beside Nora, the little girl giggled. Uncle Darian can't catch me. That's because you're too fast, Nora teased. He laughed, breathless. You two might be the end of me. And right there, with the city bustling beyond the trees, Nora realized something. Darian wasn't just playing at love. He was already in it. Saturdays at Nora's apartment had taken on a rhythm, Amira's giggles, the smell of sizzling vegetables, and Darian humming tunelessly while trying to help in the kitchen. That evening, the aroma of agusi soup filled the air as he chopped scent leaves, his sleeves rolled up, his expensive watch gleaming faintly under the dim light. You're taking this soup thing way too seriously, Nora teased, stirring the pot. I told you, I'm a quick learner, he said with a grin. But when he spoke again, his voice softened. Nora, can I ask you something serious? She turned, sensing the shift in tone. Of course. He wiped his hands and moved closer. Would I be rushing things if I said I want you to meet my parents? Her spoon stilled mid-A. Your parents? He nodded, eyes steady. I'm not playing games. I love you, Nora. You've changed everything for me. I want the people I love to meet the woman who gave my life meaning. She swallowed, caught between fear and disbelief. Darian, your parents are the rails. They are powerful, respected. I'm just. He lifted her chin gently. You're everything I want. If they have any sense, they'll see what I see. Her heart softened. Okay, she whispered. I'll go. The next evening arrived too quickly. Nora stood before her wardrobe, every dress suddenly feeling wrong. She finally pulled out an emerald gown her late mother once owned, a treasure she'd never worn. As she laid it across the bed, emotion swelled in her chest. You'd love him, Mama, she whispered. By 6:30, she and Amira were ready. Amira twirled in a pink dress that glittered under the light. At exactly 7, a knock sounded. Darian stood there, breathtaking in a black suit. He froze when he saw them. Wow, he breathed. You both look like royalty. The drive through Victoria Island was quiet but warm. When they passed through the gates of the Rail estate, Nora's breath caught. The mansion rose like something out of a dream, white marble, fountains, golden lights. You didn't tell me you lived in a palace, she whispered. He smiled faintly. You never asked. Inside, Darian's mother greeted them with open arms, her warmth dissolving Nora's nerves. So this is Nora, she said with delight. I finally meet the woman who's been stealing my son's time. She laughed and hugged her. His father was quieter, observant but kind. The surprise of the night was Darian's teenage sister, Maya, who instantly bonded with Amira over cupcakes and dolls. Dinner was elegant but filled with laughter. The Rails asked about Nora's life, her dreams, her work. There was no judgment, just curiosity and grace. By the time dessert was served, Nora's tension had faded completely. When the night wound down, Amira yawned. Can I sleep in Maya's room? She asked. Of course, Maya said, taking her hand. As they disappeared upstairs, Darian turned to Nora. You're not going home tonight, he said simply. He led her to the guest room, but she didn't stay there long. After a shower, wrapped in one of his shirts, she found herself standing at his doorway, nerves fluttering. He looked up, surprised but calm. You okay? She nodded. I have something to tell you. He straightened slowly. I'm listening. She hesitated, then exhaled. I'm a virgin, Darian. I've never been with anyone before you. That night on the couch, that was my first kiss. His brows lifted slightly, but she wasn't done. And Amira, she isn't my biological daughter. He went still, eyes locked on hers. She's my sister's child, Nora said softly. Celine left her with me when I was in medical school. I dropped out to raise her. She's my whole world. For a moment, Darian didn't speak. Then he stood, walked to her, and knelt in front of her. You sacrificed everything for love, he murmured. You're the strongest woman I know. Nora's eyes glistened. He reached up, brushed away a tear, and whispered, I'm the lucky one. Then he kissed her forehead, a vow in silence. That night, Darian decided he would marry her. And soon. Darian barely slept that night. While Nora dreamed peacefully in his bed, he sat in his study, heart thundering with a single thought, I'm going to marry her. By morning, plans were already in motion. A private lounge in Lagos was booked, musicians hired, family invited quietly. The ring sat in a velvet box on his desk, an emerald stone, just like her gown, because she was his rare gem. That afternoon, he took Nora and Amira home after lunch. The sky was painted gold when they reached her porch, and there, sitting on the steps, was Celine. Nora froze. Years had passed since she'd last seen her sister. Celine looked healthier, her eyes clearer, but guilt shadowed her face. I'm not here to cause trouble, Celine began softly. I just needed to say something. I saw you and Amira today. You're doing beautifully. She's happy. I've never seen her glow like that. Nora stayed silent, her throat thick. Celine continued, voice trembling. After Mom and Dad died, I fell apart. I got into bad things. Then I met a man who made it worse. He took everything I had and disappeared. When Amira was born, I thought I could do it, but I couldn't. I left her with you because I trusted you more than I trusted myself. She took a shaky breath. I'm clean now, working at a rehab center. I don't want to take her. She's yours, Nora. She always has been. I just needed you to know that. Tears slid down Nora's cheeks. For years she'd carried both love and resentment toward her sister, but hearing those words healed something deep within. She pulled Celine into a hug. Thank you, she whispered. Later, when Nora walked back inside, Darian was waiting. He wrapped her in his arms and murmured, You did well. Forgiveness takes courage. I did it for Amira, she said quietly. And maybe for myself. He smiled. Good. Because tonight, I'm taking you both somewhere special. At exactly 7, he returned, holding 2 gowns. For my queens, he said. The deep red satin fit Nora perfectly. The lavender ball gown made Amira spin with delight. When they arrived at the lounge, Nora gasped. The room glowed with fairy lights, rose petals, and familiar faces. Tasha, Mrs. Odu, even his family. Soft saxophone music filled the air. Darian took her hand and led her to the center as the crowd parted. Then, under the golden chandeliers, he dropped to one knee. Nora Eakin, he said, voice thick with emotion. You've shown me love that's pure and powerful. You're strong, kind, and the best mother Amira could ever have. I want to protect you, cherish you, and spend my life proving you made the right choice saying yes to that first kiss. Will you marry me? Nora's knees buckled. Tears blurred her vision. Yes, she cried, over and over. Yes. He rose, kissed her deeply, and the crowd erupted in cheers. Amira clung to their legs, squealing. My mommy's getting married. Weeks later, Lagos awoke to the sound of celebration. In a sunlit cathedral draped in white roses and gold, Nora walked down the aisle with Amira at her side. Her emerald gown shimmered like hope itself. Darian stood waiting, eyes locked on her. When they said their vows, it wasn't just a promise, it was the closing of every wound, the beginning of forever. After the wedding, when they returned home, Nora found a white envelope on their bed. Inside was an admission letter and full tuition for her to finish medical school, the dream she'd once given up. You remembered, she whispered. I never forgot, Darian said. You gave up your dream to raise Amira. Now it's time to chase it again. Tears spilled as she kissed him. That night, their love became complete, gentle, sacred, and whole. Years passed. Nora graduated with honors, Darian cheering the loudest, Amira, now 9, jumping in her seat. That's my mommy, she shouted proudly. Later that evening, as they sat together, Nora smiled, eyes glowing. You've been suspiciously happy lately, Darian teased. She bit her lip and took his hand. We're having a baby. He froze, then laughed in disbelief. Our baby. She nodded, giggling. He lifted her, spinning her around as Amira clapped, shouting, I'm getting a sibling. In that moment, surrounded by laughter and love, Darian thought the same thing he did the night he proposed. I'll love her for the rest of my life. And this time, he had forever to prove it.